Good morning. As you can see from the slide, we take fair liberties with the liberal usage of words like first and mainstream and largest. So I'm Ronak Alvalia, as I was introduced. I head an initiative called University 18. We like to describe it like a university advisory and action group. Now, what that really involves is that we go in, we advise mainly government universities on how to ICT enable or technology enable their distance learning programs, primarily distance learning programs. Unfortunately, looking at the last panel discussion that happened over here, I was quite depressed by the end of it. Seriously, we're in deep trouble here. But fortunately for me, I'm an industry man of sorts, so I don't really have to bother about everybody and every city, every town, every district. I can pick my battles and maybe pick them so that I can win. So the battle we picked was the distance learning program. Now the ideal candidate for one of our programs would be maybe an individual who did not choose to get into the higher education segment, who dropped out from his after his schooling, and perhaps continues to do a program online or through correspondence or through postal. These kind of boys and girls are a dime a dozen today, truthfully, and there are a host of universities servicing them. So you'll have a Nalanda University that has courses in Hindi. You have a Yashwantrao Chauhan State Open University that has courses in Marathi, and you have a Karnataka State Open University courses in Kannada. You have Indira Gandhi National Open University, the largest of them all. So and truthfully, I used to have opinions otherwise, but after I got into this sector, I have realized that most of them are doing a fabulous job. They are reaching out to the masses. They're doing it at a cost that is actually undoable anywhere else, maybe in the even private sector. Just to give you an example, a Nalanda University course in BA will cost you 1,600 rupees. That's 1,600 rupees. And that's how much I think an exam would cost in a private university or a private distance learning school. So truthfully, hats off to these guys. They are disadvantaged, but they're fighting a battle and they're fighting to win. So this is where we decided that we wanted to come in and maybe help them get that technology right, maybe to save costs, to reach out to more people, maybe create quality. Now quality, and I'm sorry, I'll just take a minute to go to the next. Okay, I've already done the slide. University 18 is an initiative in this direction, working with Indian universities in a public and private partnership, developing and delivering accredited ICT enhanced distance learning programs to the Indian learners around the nation. We're also, in fact, not just around the nation. We have students now in 5 continents, and I would say most of them are all Indians. Of course, all of them are all Indians, and we have some advantages over local distance learning programs, perhaps in Africa, the Middle East. So I'm proud to say we today have students over pretty much the world, and these are all serviced by Indian government universities through us. Now, Education 2.0, it's a concept that's been beaten to death, I think, even today, even before this. I've heard of Second Life, I've heard of Twitter, I have heard of mobile education, and I'm a skeptic when it comes to that. I don't think that we're quite ready for a Second Life virtual island just yet, or a Twitter-based educational program just yet. So what we went and did was, with University 18, we decided to stick to the basics. What we do know is there is a dearth of good quality educators in the country. You might have a great professor in a particular institution, maybe in Jamia Millia. Jamia Millia might have a great program, maybe in Mass Comm, but the rest of the universities might be doing an okayish job about it. Or maybe there might be distance learning students who do not want to join their local university, but wish to do a program from Jamia, but don't have an option because they don't live in Delhi. So in which case, we could use technology maybe to take the classroom to the student to the classroom, either ways. There are 2 techniques that we decided to explore Education 2.1, Education 2.0 in. One was that you let the world in. You have a great classroom, maybe in Jamia, and you're doing wonderful teaching over there, great stuff. But of course, you just have 100 seats, and you can take only so many people. What do you do? How do you make sure that this education is spread out to the rest of the world? The second one, which is distance learning in Education 2.0, what we did there was we took a regular mundane distance education program, which was normally maybe a postal program or a correspondence program with maybe a few classroom hours thrown in at the neighborhood nodal center or distance learning center. We took that and we put in what we'd like to call Education 2.0. I'll go back to it and I'll show you videos of both. So we did pilots with both of them. we decided to do a pilot for the first one with, we were fortunate enough to be involved with a institution of national importance. It's a IIM, if I may say. And this IIM decided to come up with an e-education program, and they approached us. And what we figured was we could do something for them, that is the studio in classroom method. Now, I heard Professor Bakshi from the Institute of Lifelong Learning talk about a studio in his university. As a university, Delhi University or maybe a Jamia Millia can afford to have a studio, can afford to direct faculty or professors to go in there, spend time there, create recorded lectures, create content and all that. That's fine, but that's an approach to content development that somehow takes years and years and may not be as cost effective or as fast to the market as we'd like things to be. So what we do is we take a classroom and make it into a studio. So it's something that you can maybe draw parallels with the MIT Open Courseware initiative. MIT has an Open Courseware initiative where they've committed to put out all the content or all the teaching that happens within the halls of MIT out there on the internet. So they have video recordings, they have classroom assignments, they have lecture notes, they have everything that they put out on the internet. A student wants to, take part in that, he can just log in directly, download all this material free of cost, and just go through it. Now, this is for the learning sake only because there is no certification involved in the MIT OCW. So on those lines, we developed something what is called a studio in classroom method, where the challenges that we faced were, one, let's say if I wanted to make a studio in a regular classroom, you would not want your regular classes disturbed. You do not want the professor playing to the camera or the students playing to the camera or taking reshots or retakes or things like that. So that was one challenge, that we could not have the regular classes being disturbed. There was zero tolerance towards that. That was sacrosanct. Second was that is regular classroom teaching suitable for e-learning or e-content? That was something that we needed to address. And the third was that how do we can an entire course from a studio classroom and then keep it relevant through the years? So we came up with something which I would first show you a video of. Hopefully I have the audio here, and then I'll explain.
This presentation go into too much detail there. Typically what happens in these terms and agreements, you're dealing with
so this is a professor from the University of Drexel, Philadelphia,
the protection of those marks and the use of those marks.
You would notice the cameras in the background. Now he's just teaching a class of maybe 10, 15 odd students. It's a specialized certificate course in sports management.
Golden arches, it may not be.
While he goes about teaching, he has a nice fancy smart board. I don't recall the brand, but one that you can touch on, click on, write on. And you can have even the presentation going on to the smart board. So that's the extent of the ICT in the classroom before we came in. What we did was sorry, I'll just go on to the next slide now. How do you go to the next slide? Okay, all right. I just use the arrow key. So you use the old one. So what we did was we called it the fly on the wall presence. We fixed up 4 or 5 cameras all over the classroom, and we recorded everything, every angle, every shot, very, silently, fly on the wall. So we have enough material by the end of it. We have enough student interaction. We have a camera on the audience as well. So if somebody is speaking, we're recording him as well. So questions that the students may have, which might be relevant to an e-audience or a web audience. We take that, we can that, we cut it, we splice it, we do everything with it. Now, how did we take the regular classroom teaching and make it sensible or relevant to a web-based medium? What we did was we found the loopholes, or we found the gaps in the classroom teaching. I mean, obviously there are, a professor comes in and he teaches for about an hour or 2 hours. He's missed some things. He refers to the textbooks a couple of times. He tells you that, you pick this chapter of this book or pick this page of this. So we picked those loopholes and we went back with the professor in a studio now. So for every 3 hours of maybe classroom teaching, we did 30 minutes of studio time. So 3 hours plus those 30 minutes may give us a 2.5 hour long segment. That was good enough. That was comprehensive. That covered all the topics that we needed covered. And the third thing is that the brilliant thing about, we like to call it brilliant thing about this idea is now this class or this course will go on happening in the classroom, in the campus. We'll always be recording it. So today, this year, we have this web version. Next year, we'll have more videos. We can refresh some of the parts. Maybe this chap came in this year, he might not be there next year. So we'll retain him, but we might have a better professor maybe teaching a particular segment in that course. So it keeps changing, and there is constant reevaluation of the content we created. Now, the advantages of a system like this are many, truthfully. If I could hook up every one of DU's classrooms with a camera, great. I mean, one, the existing students would have access to all this content after class hours. They could go back, revise, do things like that, study for the examinations. Second, the web students would have access to all this content, which might be great, and also you have to remember there's hardly any cost associated to it, time or money. When I go to a professor and ask him to, dub him SME as a subject matter expert and tell him to go into the studio and do me 500 hours of maybe financial management, I could pretty much expect him to take a couple of years for it, right? Here we have skipped that entire segment. We're doing it on the fly as we go around teaching. For instance, now our web program is 2 months behind our regular program. So we're just lagging by about 2 months lead time. And we've got this course up and running, hitting the markets. Yeah, she's told me 3 minutes. Okay, gun to my head. Now, so we got it hitting the markets as soon as maybe within 3 months of the class starting in the campus. Right. I'll skip to the next segment, which is distance learning education 2.0. Now, I believe personally that ICT in distance learning programs is where it can have the maximum impact. Take a student, for instance, who a lot of kids drop out of college or don't make it as far as even graduation because of financial reasons, or because maybe they were so disadvantaged during the school years that they could never get into the right college. We all know that demand far outstrips supply when it comes to quality college seats. So now these kids typically pick up an unskilled job, or maybe go in for a vocational course, if I may use the term liberally. Maybe it's something that requires computers or accounts or something like that. So did they get an education? I think not. Now, these very students also do go enroll in a distance learning program because they need a degree, right? So for a better job, for a better future, they have it ingrained in their minds that they needed that degree. Now, the quality of our programs available pretty much are cut dry. You could get a few books, study through them, go through a few kunjis, end up for your examinations. Whatever you get at the end of it is what you get. The learning is not there. So we took something now we had a lady from Adobe earlier here today who was speaking about Adobe Connect. Adobe Connect, if I may push her platform, is a wonderful platform that allows students to maybe log on and view a professor. It's used mostly, I think, for private meetings across companies, but it could be used for education as well. What we did was we took a variety of web-based, fairly low-cost tools, and we made a virtual classroom platform out of it. ICT in distance learning is usually limited to maybe an LMS, and as Professor Bakshi said, maybe a few ebooks and things like that, or maybe content, a few quizzes, interaction between student and the professors. That's it. We went and did this virtual classroom program, and today we have hundreds of students logging on early in the morning, 6 o'clock, right from their homes. Professors log in from their homes. Professors use those, our professors use those 3G broadband connects, wireless. So no infrastructure at all, very fairly low cost, accessible and cheap web-based programs. And we have something like what I'm going to show you here today. So, so this is a financial management class. Oops. Did we lose audio? You cut off my audio, so you get me off the podium. So, okay.
We will look at environment analysis.
Now, the best thing is, this is an IIM Calcutta professor.
And
the course is a Karnataka University course.
We will also
it hardly costs a fraction of what an IIM, and it's not even a fraction of what an IIM Calcutta course costs. But the scale of the program allows us to get these students the best of professors from around the country. So you don't really need to pay IIM Calcutta prices to get an IIM Calcutta professor. You could be enrolled for a degree course in IGNOU, and maybe you could get you an MDI professor. We do have professors from around the country. I mean, I'm dropping institutional names here, but that kind of thing, I think, sort of proves the commitment to quality. But that's the thing. Scale, where you have 10 students studying in a distance learning center, where maybe he's being taught by the owner of the center themselves, or versus where we have hundreds of thousands of students logged onto this virtual platform. Obviously, we don't do 100,000 in each class. We limit it to 500. We have a capacity of 2,500 in each class online. We limit it to 500. So we have professors from around the country, even in fact around the world. We have a professor who teaches in from America. But again, that's besides the point. So here, using ICT in distance learning, you can get the kind of scale, you can get the kind of quality that we all need to give to the students because they deserve it. Again, I'm just finishing. So while we did these projects, we explored some synergies with the institutions. We ended up maybe helping them develop and deliver the program design, the content, the curriculum. We ended up doing the student acquisition. We ended up doing the technology and infrastructure. We ended up doing pretty much the entire program lifecycle. That's it. So the future for us is pretty much encapsulated in our mission statement. We hope to be, well, that comes later, but University 18 promotes educational opportunities and social justice by providing high quality education to all those who wish to realize their ambitions and fulfill their potential. I think that pretty much says it for us. And hopefully, thank you for your time, and hopefully all of you have a good day ahead. Thank you.